Hi there, I'm DJ Abbas, and today is a special edition of My Tasty Naija, and we have with us a very, very tasty Nigerian. He's Yemi Edun. He's a property expert and, more importantly, the CEO of Daniel Ford & Co., a property management company based here in the United Kingdom. Mr. Edun, how you doing?
I did.
Awesome. This has been long coming, and we just thought you've seen the show, and what we do is celebrate everything green, everything Nigerian, and which leads to you. You're a man of many, many shades, mostly colorful, apart from the one we'll come to later. But you're in the property business.
Absolutely.
And in the United Kingdom, the entry into that market is not easy, and you've been able to build yourself right to the pinnacle.
Thank you.
So I want you to take us through that journey from the beginning. How did you stumble into it? Was it happen chance? Or was it something you really went in for? When did it start?
Thank you so much. Thanks for giving us this platform.
Pleasure.
To share the experience, the story. Yeah, so I came to England when most people had come for, and what was prevalent at that point was IT. Everybody was into IT. So I came to join my brother. But I was not very good at it. I know.
You tried out?
I did. I actually took a class, and after a week, I was lost. So I knew that wasn't for me. At that point in time, there were not many opportunities out there, doing the odd jobs here and there.
As a foreigner?
As a foreigner. It was tough. And
what were the common jobs then?
Security, and security. You know. Yeah, and not many opportunities. The job center, you just go and register, nothing's going to come out of it. And like you rightly gave me some options there, it was by chance that I found myself more like a T-boy in a property space. But I had a life prior to coming to the UK. I'd actually run a business in Nigeria. I employed people. Okay. But people tend to forget that during the Abacha days, things were quite tough. Nigeria was a para nation. Things at the time, Nigeria was basically cut off, you know, and the economy started having more challenges, and I came to join my brother. So that impacted your business in Nigeria? Absolutely, because we couldn't bring in goods. I was bringing in snooker balls from the UK. Pool balls. Just pool balls? Pool balls. I would never have thought there was money in that. A lot of money. The steak. Okay. I was building the table. We popularized the sports. And was this in Lagos? In Lagos. Okay. No, Lagos was my base, but people came from all over, even as far as Cameroon, to buy the balls. But the thing about pool is that they are not perishable. It's not like table tennis. Yes. So they might lose or chip, but once you buy the ball, it can last, you know. So I could sense we'll run out of steam at some point. But I was able to do that from 93 till the late 90s. By 98, it was becoming more difficult, you know. So I came to London and found myself in the property space. I was learning the trade, both the financial services and the negotiation part of things. I was fortunate to start in a relatively affluent area, West Hampstead, which gave me the catchment area of St. John's Wood, Matherville, Cricklewood, Kilburn, and Hampstead. I had to learn fast. If I can come in very quickly, did that location ultimately shape where you found yourself? Absolutely. Because it was a built-up area, it was an established area, it was an affluent area, and money determines where you live. So most of the time. No, money will determine where you live. You might choose not to, but if you desire the best, you need to be able to access it. You know, so definitely the location has really helped. Were there a lot of Nigerians in that space as homeowners at the time? Very few, but for various reasons. Nigerians, you have to remember, did not come to this country to stay. Then? Even the ones that came to work only wanted to work briefly and leave. Mortgage was still at its infancy. You know, buy-to-let was at its infancy. Nigerians did not find a 25 years mortgage appealing. They even regard that as you not owning the property.
I was going to say that the mindset at the time for mortgages for Nigerians is like,
you don't own the property.
Yes.
So it took people like us coming into the industry and now explaining to our network that when you rent a property, your landlord pays his mortgage and the residual, it's the lifestyle. And we started reorienting our people to, so a lot of people could afford it, but it was a no-no.
You'd rather go and build in Nigeria?
Yes, even there was something that was in vogue then. If you remember, most Nigerians used to stay with relatives.
Initially, on arrival?
No, even the ones that come on holiday,
okay, yes,
that could afford
it.
You know, hotels, you reckon that you have to stay with your relative. And if you look back in a family of 6, 7, staying in a 2-bed apartment would make room for another family of five. You know, another thing that I would like to take you back to is, for a long time I didn't even know that there was the possibility of paying anybody to paint a property in the UK, because you call your friends, you buy KFC, you buy beer, and everybody paints. You know. But a lot of things have changed. You know, the market has opened. With the HSMP in the early 2000s, a lot of Nigerians came in. Okay. You know, the first batch was the Andrew No Don't Check Out. Yes, so. You know, then the HSMP came, and with that we had many churches, and with the churches there was the need for the buildings. You know, so I got into that space as well, helping churches find their buildings, developing mortgage products.
So these were your low-hanging fruits as a Nigerian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I identified the fact that being Nigerian was not a disadvantage. You know, we just had to reorientate our people, and then they would start, you know, diverting the money they made from IT and other ventures into property.
I want you to chart your path as well from when you were kind of like working with a property agency firm. At what point did you think, I think I should have my own agency and we should be doing this? When did you think that it was a business sustainable? Because clearly your clients are not just Nigerians only, you know, but as an entry point at the time, having access to that Nigerian space where you could identify they would need churches, and then people, the mindsets were changing. At what point did you decide that I think it's time we kick off Daniel Ford & Co?
I never thought of it. I didn't, you know, nothing was planned. You know, I didn't sit down to chart a plan, but things just happen and you find yourself where you are. Again, because in a sort of way we are pioneers. We met people in the industry, but they had a different mindset.
Okay.
They were thinking of success, but success for them was what they had back home. So they wanted to excel here, but take the money to start a development, start a hotel, you know. So I believe we'll be one of the first to think of entrenching ourselves here and battling it
out
to the fullest. Not
because now you have to compete with the
yes. So not just making money and looking at maybe taking a political post or starting hospitality or starting development, you know. So I wasn't thinking of starting my own endeavor. That was not in the plan. But things happened, and
when did things happen?
Things happened 2002. There was a business that was in dire straits, and they were looking for a way to just get rid of it. And I saw it as an opportunity. And it happened to be King's Cross.
Okay.
It happened to be Bow Street. It happened to be Daniel Ford.
Okay.
And it happened to be really, really bad. But building it with Remy we started, and we just started working. Before we know it now, from 4 properties then, we are talking of hundreds of property in management. We've been involved in properties in excess of £1 billion. We've been involved with some of the most iconic buildings in the country. Buildings like the House of Sir Lipton, the Lipton tea bag, yes. Mozart, the house, he composed his first symphony, Sir Wimpole, the first Prime Minister of Britain, and many, many iconic properties.
What was the key challenge as a, of course you're British, you know, but how was your challenge as a British Nigerian coming into that space, especially a British Nigerian that was kind of like bred in Nigeria, coming into that space in the UK? And you've talked about this major acquisition, so to say. What was the major challenge within that sector?
Acceptance. Acceptance that you could deliver. So we tend to get the crumbs in the early days.
Initially, okay.
It is what they can't get rid of that will come your way. You know, and acceptance, not just from the wider community, acceptance even from our own community.
Which was worse?
Ours was worse, because if it's a downer when your people don't trust you, and what happens is when they fall into trouble, they will come to you, and the first thing they would ask is, can you speak pidgin, or can you speak you know, they now want to go get down
just to get
yeah, but I'm glad that we had the right temperament and the bandwidth to accommodate those challenges, and by turning things around for people, the news went round,
word of mouth,
and then we became some people use us as our man in London, you know. So acceptance was a big challenge. Acceptance not just because of where your background, not just because of where you're from, but because we approached the industry in another way. You can see that we are not your normal,
clearly,
you know, so we don't have a shop front. We started something called acquisition agents, representing buyers rather than representing vendors. Okay. So we are one of the pioneers, you know, and people found it strange that why should I pay you for finding me a property? But now it has come to stay. There are hundreds of people out there. So even for an environment that is very conservative, you know, and things are done, you know, in a certain way, it took a while for people to accept that there is value in entrusting someone to act for them. And the illustration I do give at times is, you don't go to court expecting the other side's counsel to fight your corner. You need your own counsel, and I believe that it has come to stay now.
Daniel Ford and Co. I remember initially when they came across him, so easy to assume that it was an English business, Daniel Ford. But now it's clear that it was an acquisition at the time, and you've talked to the name. In terms of, I'm going to throw one at you now, and I want you to give me an answer. What's your biggest acquisition by a Nigerian? You don't have to mention it. Give me a figure.
By a Nigerian, I would say we are talking of between 15 million and 20 million.
In the UK?
In London.
In London?
Yes.
Wow. Typically, and I'm sure a lot of Nigerians own very, very expensive property. Typically, in the past, that would not have been managed by a Nigerian-owned business, right? I'm right.
Because
they would not have.
It wasn't even there. You know, look, some of the biggest transactions we've done did not even come from the client approaching us. It's come from other practitioners who felt it was too big for them, and they bring it to us. So size matters, optics matter, you know. So you have a lot of people that don't have the structure we have, you know, for you to have a team of over 50 people. And I tell people, the first time I shared it with my team, it was like a shock that, look, You know, if I died last week, Daniel Ford will still run because the structure is there. You know, I travel for a minimum of at least 10 weeks a year, and I don't touch money in this organization.
Is that structure a problem with some of our businesses, particularly in
Absolutely, absolutely. People die with the business, mostly in our community, as you well know. You know, you've been here now for some hours.
For a minute.
You see different people coming in and out. This is not a typical, even non-Nigerians and Nigerians tell us this is not your usual. We've never had an issue with VAT in this company, because when any income comes in, the VAT element has its own designated account, you know. So structure is very important if anybody wants to have a sustainable and enduring enterprise.
In the property world, how do you measure your bragging rights? What are the, you've talked about your management portfolio. You just said you have it in the hundreds. Is that a measure of the? That's
a measure. Being involved in some of the most iconic properties in a dynamic city like this is very important. Having an office and maintaining the office and not having bailiffs sealing it up, you know, not having issues, touch wood, employment tribunals, you know, litigation can bring anybody down. Not having scandals like sexual and otherwise, you know, running a business in itself and keeping it going, you know. But I will tell you, our biggest bragging right is the fact that increasingly we are having a lot of second generation buyers and clients, you know. That is one of our biggest claim to fame. And in some instances now we have third generations.
Wow.
That's our bragging right.
And that's within a 22-year window of building a business from 2002.
Yeah, but I've been there before then. Yeah. So in 25 years for you to be dealing with 2-3 generations, I think is a stripe that was what's focusing on.
I know you have close ties to Nigeria, and I know you do quite a lot there. But first, let's talk about the property space. What's your connection with the property space in Nigeria?
Well, from a family point of view, you know, for Nigerians...
does Daniel Ford & Co run in Nigeria?
We are not looking at that because property is a local business.
Okay.
If I step into Scotland now, I need someone to navigate me around. Likewise, Dubai, Paris, Lagos, you can't take it for granted. It's a dynamic city like London. I will still need people on ground. We do stuff, we do consultancy, we do stuff with our associates, more in terms of the technical aspect of things. We like to keep things tidy and we'll prefer to focus on London.
A search for Daniel Ford and your names came up with a lot of descriptions. And the common thread was luxury. Do you accept that? You deal in luxury? Do you deal strictly in luxury? Or would you accept that tag as an outfit that deals in luxury properties and acquisitions?
I think it's a function of the location. London itself is not cheap. And luxury, it's not money. Luxury is value. We bring value to the table, and if people address it as luxury...
I'm trying to dodge the question.
If they address it as luxury, I would not say no to that.
But I think even if it is, obviously the location says a lot. The numbers say a lot. Now let's now talk about Yemi Edun, the man. One of your passions is sports. So before we talk about your favorite football club, let's talk about your love for your involvement in chess, your involvement in table tennis. I want you to take me through that story as shortly as you can. Talk about it, your involvement in chess, your involvement in sports generally.
I wouldn't like to box it as sports. I would like to say talent.
Okay.
And before we go to Nigeria, Round the corner here, we have the Central St. Martin University of Arts, London.
Okay.
We sponsored the undergraduate arts exhibition for 7 years, raising in excess of £200,000. So for our CSR, we think of talent. Last year, we had a art session in this premises in number 10. And the High Commissioner was a guest.
The Nigerian High Commissioner.
The Nigerian High Commissioner was a guest. We had two very, very brilliant artists showcasing their work. Babajide, who is a great artist, and Banji Alade. Yeah. So they had their artwork on display here. So going to sports, obviously, most Nigerians love football. And
you do as well.
I was brought up in Surulere. I grew up in Surulere, so I was exposed to live sport from a very young age. You know, I continued with that in London. But what we support, we see that the lesser sports are being ignored, and hence table tennis. So we had our first Daniel Ford Elite Youth Table Tennis Tournament in Lagos last year for the under 19 and under 15 boys and girls. Our plan is to try and create a conveyor belt in anticipation of when the established ones start reaching into a twilight of their career. And I think we've started well, because the winners of the Daniel Ford tournament in December are now the national and West African champions. That
must be a record, though.
It's a brilliant
possible period.
Absolutely. So we are looking forward to this year's edition. It will be holding in Lagos 20th and 21st at the Teslim Balogun Stadium, and we hope to carry this on. It's fashioned after the Ashoju Oba Cup. You know, growing up,
Which was a big tournament back in the day.
Yeah. And we want ours to be something that would inspire the young ones and get them off the street. In terms of chess is an intellectual game, and I think Tunde Onakoya has brought it to fore, you know, more than anybody probably in our lifetime in Nigeria. And we've adopted Deborah Quickpen. So Daniel Ford has adopted Deborah Quickpen, who at 11 years is the national female chess champion of Nigeria and number 4 in Africa. We were able to pitch her with Tunde Onakoya. They had a brilliant game of blitz and rapid, and it ended at 4-4. We are considering having a sequel.
You play yourself?
I don't. I don't even understand it, but I appreciate when people have talent and they are able to take it to the next level. So we are considering having a sequel to that game in December. So if the audience can encourage us that they will be looking forward to it, we'll probably take that up.
Daniel Ford, now you're almost 3 decades, or approaching 3 decades in the United Kingdom. What next?
What next? You would agree with me that there are a lot of Nigerians that have come in the last couple of years, maybe even 2-3 years. And in the last 5 weeks, I've had to address different groups. The IT guys, the talents, the exceptional talent guys, about 500 of them. I address them at Queen Mary's, and I'm blown away at what they are bringing in. You know, great talents, you know, middle class from Nigeria.
You think they're currently being underrepresented?
They are, because they need leadership. There's a vacuum of leadership in most communities, not just the Nigerian community. So I believe, as people that have done stuff here, you and I need to guide them so that they don't make mistakes, you know, that people
we probably did back then,
and because they've come prepared, I think they can do a lot. My dream is to see us have a Nigeria Community Center. I have a Nigerian school, Nigeria International School. My dream is to have, you know, something that will keep the culture going, a hub where so many things can happen. And I think with these guys coming in, we can get it done. We all knew when the Somalians came. I can count at least 5 Somalian schools in London. I can't count a Nigerian school, you know.
Why do you think that is?
Because we've not had the opportunity of coming as a group. We come in individually, and once we cross that Rubicon, we just...
Is it a peculiar Nigerian problem? great success individually, which cannot seem to be converted into kind of like a collective.
Maybe so, but we have an opportunity to address it, you know, and I think I've found a core with this batch. They are hungry to make more success because they're already successful. These are guys that are classified as exceptional talent. Yeah. So they are geeks, they have apps, they have, you know, they have businesses back in Nigeria. In some cases, their business in Nigeria is what is even funding them here. So I think we have that collective, but we need to harness them before. No, before they they hide. Okay. Like the frog bearers. Yes. It's easy to disappear, and it's even cheaper to disappear. So I think we have a very good opportunity, and I'm preaching that. The next week I was at the Harvesters Church, over 850 people, you know. So some of these guys have keyed into the churches. It's an opportunity for us to tailor them to what will benefit the community. There is no area apart from Peckham that you find Nigerians. I'm talking of now middle class, decent areas that you find Nigerians living as a community. We don't have them. You know, in Collindale, there's an area that's called the Bird Estate, next to the Collindale station. When the Hong Kong was taken over by China and they came here, they all stayed in that area. And right now, with this second takeover, I call it the second takeover, they are building a town in Kent, you know. So, intentionally, you know. So I think what can bring us together is having a school, because churches have not brought us together. Schools, good Nigerian school, would expose Nigerians living in Germany, in Italy, and mainland Europe to bring their kids.
Even from Nigeria too.
You know, and I think that is what will bring us together as a people. Then we are party people, we love our good time. It's a shame that we don't really have any all of reckon. I was coming to that. In the center of London. And some people have to defer their weddings for 2 years just to access the preferred venue. So I think these are things that I'm looking forward to championing. Maybe not with money, but at least with the blueprint.
That is actually a major. I'm from the entertainment space, and obviously I put a lot of those venues to use, and the Asians seem to have had like a major edge in terms of acquiring those venues. And it's funny, with the amount of Nigerian parties and events that happen in London to start with every week, that is something Nigerians have not looked at, you know, and that is where you become very, very important in terms of the sector you're in. I'm 25-year-old now, young 25-year-old man. Advise me. I'm just coming to the UK and I've come to you for advice. What would you tell me?
I say go for it. Don't hold back. This is a land of milk and honey. You know, we are football people and we take it for granted that Britain is a football-loving nation. But a simple fact here, theatre has more footfall than stadium. There are more people that go to the theatre in this country than stadium. Theatre's takings triples what Premiership takes. So you are in a city where there's so much opportunity, but don't be held back by any inhibition. Just go for it. Whatever look, restaurants, we're in King's Cross. From here to Wimbledon, there are over 1,000 restaurants. I can assure you that at least 400 of those restaurants turn over £5 million a year. So you are in a city that has liquidity, and with liquidity, ideas will thrive.
So obviously, looking towards being an entrepreneur is a good direction to look at with this advice you've given me.
Anything, not just, look, I believe not everybody is made out to be an entrepreneur.
Indeed.
Some people are there to support entrepreneurs, you know, but whatever you key into, be intentional about it and go for it.
So who's winning the Premier League this year?
I feel it's going to be one or two, Arsenal or Man City. They are primed for it. They are the two strongest side, and the others would follow.
I needed to come in from that side as a key Chelsea fan. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think you've given us a wealth of knowledge that a lot of Nigerians particularly can feed off. And hopefully when they need to reach out to you, there'll be channels. What are your social media platforms? It could be the odd question. How can they reach you?
Yemi Edun DF on Instagram, Yemi Edun on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. The book is selling on, there's the Audible version, there's the
number one mission.
Yes. So number one mission, story of the Nigerian High Commission in London. The 14 High Commissioners we've had to date, the 22 properties Nigeria owns in the UK, the Umaru Dikko kidnap, and the Rolls Royce bought by Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa in 1959 that still runs. And the book is online, it's on audiobooks, and I would be glad to hear your feedback.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, bro.
So we can't end the Naija Tasty Special without actually having a tasty Nigerian meal. What you got for us?
I can't host you and not make you sweat.
Yes.
So I got something that is hot.
For the palates.
We do it the number 10 way.
Suya. Oh dear.
How do you want it?
Let me start with this.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit, yes. There you go. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. We are building our community. We need those subscriptions. Thank you very much. See you on the next edition.